Hey folks, Sean here. Just want to let you know there were some audio difficulties with the first 30 minutes of the episode. There's going to be some hiss, there's going to be some background noise just for the first 30 minutes. My fault completely. Please don't let that take away from the wonderful guest, wonderful conversation we had. Queen T Artistry on Facebook. Go check her out. We enjoyed it, and we hope you do too. Now on to the episode. 3, 2, 1. Hey folks, welcome to Bouncing Brains. We are here on November 11th, a fine, boggy Monday evening. If you're wondering why I'm glistening on the camera once again, Freddy ain't got the damn AC fixed. So, bear with us on this one, because we definitely will.
Throw me under the short button.
I'm Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. Hey, is it still tight? You'll get the end.
Stop trying to sell it, Freddy. Just sell the t-shirt. Joining us today, we have singer, songwriter, and poet, Queen T.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Miss Queen.
Hi.
Like I was telling you off camera, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you. It's weird, you know. It's weird when, because we do this shit, and the whole point of doing this podcast is because we want to bring up artists and comedians and anybody with some kind of artistry. A lot of the people that we brought on, we kind of, sort of, for the most part, know personally, right? But after a while, let's keep it real. You run out of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Friends stop answering your phone.
Exactly. So it's kind of hard to reach out to people and get them to come on,
right,
like when you don't really know them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it gets even harder when you do get somebody to agree. It's like, oh yeah, and they get excited. Yeah, oh come on, man, no problem. I was like, all right, man, we record on Monday. He's like, hey, where are we going? It's out of my house. And he was like, well, I'll get back to you. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's it.
So, that's the hard part. So, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me.
And like I said, it's we just kind of want to get to know you, on a more intimate level without touching you.
Yes.
It's probably one.
Our lawyer specifically advised.
You can't touch people.
I mean, granted, Willie lives under an overpass, but he's still got good advice.
Yeah, exactly. No, so you are, just for the people that are watching and listening, before we get started, if you want to go ahead and give a bit of background, like as far as what you do, why you do it, and how you started doing it.
Well, I sing. I've always sang since I was like really little. I was born in New York, so you know.
Nice. Where?
Manhattan.
Holy shit! With the Richie class.
We weren't Richie class though.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Island.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Real quick question. I read, didn't watch it, read in the National Geographic magazine that there is, I think, 3,000 rats
in New York.
person in New York. Is that fucking true?
I've heard, you know, I came,
You're
luckily, I
from
was
the-
saved. Hey, I was saved. I was brought down when I was 8 to Texas. So I was born there, but that's all I heard is over there is rats. Like here, you see roaches a lot here, but over there it's rats. Like and they're massive rats.
I was reading, that's exactly what I was reading. They're not just like fucking like Mickey Mouse rat type of motherfuckers are like the cow-looking, long-tailed.
They
like,
evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if I remember reading an article correctly, there was some species that was either brought from the Philippines, Brazil, I can't remember which, because they both got very large like species of rats, and those are the ones where you're like, it looked like a small dog.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, that's.
Oh my
they
God.
probably ate the original inhabitants.
I was taking out
Right.
I was taking out the trash because before we used to have a big trash can back here.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put it up here because it was going to stink up my whole shit, so I took it out, right? And it was like, it wasn't even late. It was like 8 o'clock at night or whatever.
Right.
And back here in the alley, we have all the power lines. but we have some like thick ass power lines where the fucking squirrels run through.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I looked and I saw a squirrel run, and I was like, oh shit, it's a squirrel. I look again and I look closer and I was like, because it stopped in the middle of the power line. And I'm not going to say it was looking at me, right? 'Cause I don't but it stopped and I'm looking at it and it was just there chilling.
Right.
And I was like, that is not. So then I got closer. It wasn't a fucking. It was a big ass fucking rat.
Ew.
And I was like, oh, but I mean that thing was huge. I'm telling you,
Well, you thought it was a squirrel.
for me to confuse it for a fucking squirrel,
Yeah.
I was like, that is a rat. It's just. And the first thing I thought of was like,
Yeah.
these motherfuckers are coming down here.
They're traveling.
They're traveling. They don't need passports.
No.
Yeah.
Probably wearing a squirrel's head like some sort of barbarian.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's crazy. And I was just curious about that because I read that.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a rat problem over there. It's an issue.
I've never been to New York. I've always wanted to go. I've been to Miami. Miami has fucking crocodile problems. Yeah. You know how you'll see like fucking dogs run across your yard.
Yeah.
And over there, if you walk out your front yard, you just might see a crocodile in your front yard.
That's
And like people don't even do shit about it. Like, they just see it and just don't get in his way. It's like
Yeah, just don't make him mad.
Yeah.
It's like going in the water. Don't get near the shark. Don't get too far.
Yeah.
So you got rattlesnakes, Florida got gators.
There you go.
Exactly.
So New York came down here today.
New York.
Oh yeah, came down here. Just kind of kept singing. I mean, I've always sang. I was in choir. Music has just been my salvation, I guess, when it's come to the toughest times. And I've always just written. I always would write stories and all kinds of stuff, but then I would write poems, and then I started trying to write music. And a few years ago, bought a laptop and some speakers, and I was like, I'm gonna make some beats,
Nice.
And so I've been experimenting with that.
The beat making and the.
Yeah, I did. So I've been working on that. I mean, it's been kind of hard trying to figure it out on my own. I don't have help. It's just me. But it's been pretty cool. It's been a good experience.
See this shit, all this shit right here?
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so you see like it looks like it's been perfectly engineered?
Right.
We learned this shit together. Well, I mean, you learned most of it.
Right.
You need to pull them rose tinted glasses off every once in a while. Perfectly engineered might be overstated.
Yeah, hey, but it works. So,
Yes.
somewhere somebody online is watching this and it wouldn't have been possible if he wouldn't have figured out some shit. So.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, every once in a while I'll come across somebody else's stuff and go, oh, thank God we look better than that.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
Yeah.
you'll mention some shit like, hey man, do you have equalizers? What's that? I was like, whoa, we're doing way better than
Yeah.
that.
There you go. That's how you know.
And the crazy part, the reason I trip out with the beat making, what are you using? Because I know a little bit about that, and I'll tell you why right now.
The one that I'm using is Pro.
Pro Tools?
Yeah, Pro Tools.
Shit, you went for the good shit.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's industry standard, by the way, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
Like Universal Music Group, Atlantic, all the engineers there, that's what they use. Now,
Right.
so that you know that I'm not bullshitting you, is because I actually, way back in the day, 11 years ago now, 12 years ago now, I studied recording engineering and production
Nice.
in LA at the Musicians Institute.
Oh, wow.
Now, long story short, I finished, but these motherfuckers still holding my degree hostage because I owe
Money.
about $12,000.
Yeah, those schools are really expensive because I was looking into it and I just.
It's worth it. You just make sure that when they give you that big ass loan, you
Right.
pay, which is
Yeah.
I bought a whole bunch of other shit that had nothing to do with.
Oh my God.
So, Uncle Sam, thank you.
Oh my God.
Those parties were great.
Okay. I see why they're holding your thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Was Pro Tools the first kind of
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, there was another one that I started with.
Fruity Loops?
Yeah, you know what? I was working with an ex that actually had Fruity Loops, and that's how I kind of started it. Actually, he was showing me what they were doing and stuff, and I was like, "What is this?" You know?
Yeah.
And so I started messing with it, and then I went off and tried to do that myself later. You know, later on down the line. Still playing around with it and trying to figure things out. You know, I tried to apply to go to school for Berkeley for online music. You know?
Nice.
I was denied. So.
You know what you should try that you may have a good chance at? You should try, because they actually sent me to apply. They sent the information to me without applying to apply for a grant for Full Sail.
Oh, Full Sail.
Full Sail. And they also do have full online degrees for like recording engineering.
That's the first
So
one I was looking into, actually.
You might want to.
I wasn't sure. I looked up some information, ratings, and people's comments and things like that, and so I was just like, I don't know.
And I think one full semester will run you about $8,000. And honestly, that's cheap.
Right.
For recording.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Because there's another one. There's a real famous one. I keep forgetting the name, but they run like $20,000 a semester.
Are you talking about the one in California?
No. Well, I mean, there's quite a few in California.
Wait.
But there's one. It slips my mind. There's one really famous one.
Right.
That I know, but they charge like 18 or 20 grand to go.
Right.
The reason that I was asking is because like before I discovered that I could tell a joke, kind of. I used to do, when I was in high school, I did the whole rap thing and everything. So I used to record mixtapes and sell them hand to hand and everything.
Cool.
And what I started with way back in the day, I don't know how old you are, but I'm not gonna ask that. I learned the first time. But way back in the day, we started using this shitty ass program. It was called Cool Edit Pro, and that's what I started on. It was a bootleg version.
Was it?
Shout out to Napster.
All right, yeah. Back in the day.
Here for the win.
Yeah.
So we started with that, and it was the reason I liked it was because it was very simple. You had a record button, had a stop. Once you had recorded your vocals and the track, you had the track on one track, the vocals on the other track. It was already separated for you. There was one button that said mix, and that's exactly what the fucking now. Given it was a shitty ass mix, but when you don't know, I mean, fuck it, it sounds good, you know what I'm saying? So you just
You can use MP3s for the masters, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you hit mix, download that shit, burn it onto the CD.
Wow. Nice.
If it blew your speakers, it wasn't my problem.
Oh well. I press mix.
Exactly.
It did the job.
Yeah. So, and then when we were able to, because I was working with another guy, when we were able to save up some money, because believe it or not, we did sell quite a few mixtapes back in the day. We were able to save some money, and we actually bought one of the first versions of, or not the first version, but early versions of Fruity Loops.
Oh, nice.
And then, because on that one you could only record and import tracks. Fruity Loops, you could actually digitally try to make beats and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you could move your little tracker and shit like that. That's why a lot of people don't fucking know, man. You seen that movie, Straight Outta Compton?
Yes.
Okay, that scene where Dre is in the booth with Easy, and that he literally punched in every bar.
Yes.
Motherfuckers, you can do that. And I'm saying that because when I started music, I was, before people crucify me, I was never as good as Easy became.
Right.
But when he started, I sucked as much as he did.
Right.
Just like Drake was telling him, he was like, "Hey, you need to come on beat."
Right.
I don't know what the fuck that was. They were telling me the same thing. He's like, "All right, man, you gonna count? And keep in mind, I'm dyslexic. I got ADD, all that shit." So he was like, "All right, man, you can come on beat, all right?" And he was even counting with me in the back. He was like, and then I'll come in, and I sounded just like him. And he was like, no, man, on beat. So when Dre had to punch in every bar, my very first song, it was a 3 minute and 33-second long song.
Right.
Every single bar was punched.
Wow.
It took us about 3 hours
Wow.
just to lay down the track. And then he was like, all right, man, I'll see you tomorrow so that we can mix this shit.
If I remember my anecdote correctly, when Dre started bringing people in for when he was recording with Death Row, or when he started up Death Row, he started sending motherfuckers to, like, just lyrics. It's not even singers, but he was like, I'm sending you to a fucking vocal coach. Just half because this is the way I want it to sound, and half because your ass is hot. You know, the rhythm's over here, and you're way the fuck over there.
Yeah. And that's another thing that people don't know about Dre. Like, when Dre produces a track for you, people don't know that, and this is something that the artist, before they go in the booth, they've agreed to.
Right.
Because people don't know that Dre tells their artist, okay, I'm going to produce it for you, but I'm calling the shots.
Right.
And what he means by that is that he controls everything.
Right.
Everything from, like, the word that you wrote to the way the word sounds.
Right.
And there's very few. I once found a video where he was recording Ice Cube, one of the greatest rappers of all time.
Yes.
And he was telling Ice Cube, no, bro. Bring it back. You're going to do it again. I don't want you to do it like that. You're going to do it like this. And Cube was like, all right. And I was like, holy shit, Cube just agreed to that. Yeah, and he's one of the few producers to do that. That's why there's a lot of people that have creativity conflicts with them.
Right.
Because people don't like to fucking...
Yeah, I mean, they want to do their own thing. They don't want to be telling them.
That's why that Rakim, that Dr. Dre produced Rakim album never saw the day of light, because they had... Story was that behind the scenes, they would argue and fight in the studio every other day.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, Rakim was the one to pull the plug. He was like, no, fuck that, I don't want to work with you anymore. And that would have been, I've never heard it, but that would have been one of the greatest albums of all time.
I very clearly remember sometime around 2008, 2009, I was like, this motherfucker takes all the way to 2011 to put out Detox. I ain't finding that motherfucker ever again. So you started working with the beats. Do you play any other instruments?
No, that's why I started doing it, because I don't play any instruments. You know, I focus a lot on music, singing wise, my vocals. So when I finally got to an age, I was like, I want to learn an instrument, but I don't have patience to, like, sit and learn it, and people don't have patience to teach me. So it's like, you know what? Let me just, beats. Like, let me just try to make the sounds, put them together.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. As far as, do you have equipment, or is everything digital?
No, everything's digital.
Digital, okay. Because I was about to ask you about, like, if you had a Mackie drum machine or anything like that.
No, I'm starting from the just basic, digital stuff. Yeah, I'm working from there, and then start buying equipment here and there.
Have you?
Go along. It's expensive.
Yeah, for real. Have you ever worked with any producer?
I haven't. I've never worked with a producer or anything like that. I just I've done a few bands, working with a band right now that we're getting together, and so that's fun. But I haven't produced anything. I haven't worked with anybody. I've done my own things, like I said, and found some beats or worked on some beats and just kind of put some words down, try to record on my laptop, and work from there.
Gotcha.
Just kind of knowing the fallout that comes from when you do kind of complete,
Right.
I forget what that line is about writers. It's like a writer's never done, they just stop bleeding on the page.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have some stuff out there where it's at least that afterwards going, oh shit, I could have done this different. Like, are you getting to the point where it's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm willing to show this to people?
Right. I do. I have like one that I worked on, and I'm like, this is a good one, and so I'm able to. I feel like that one was something that I can show to people, and I've had some people listen to, and they're kind of like, hey, this is good. And I'm like, okay, I hope so. Because, oh my gosh, I've worked on these other ones, and it's weird because from the first one that I've done to, like, that specific one that I did that I feel comfortable showing people and having them listen to it. It's so different. Like at first, because I tried rapping too, and so there's some times where I try to rap a little bit in there and stuff. I can't like flow or anything, but I can write something down and put it in there.
That's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like when I used to do the rap thing, a lot of people I used to get these two things all the time. When I used to tell them, I'll rap or everything, real quick, 16 or whatever.
Right.
So they would tell me, oh, so you sing? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I rap. And then it was also the other way. Oh, so can you sing something? No. They don't understand when you sing, like to me, no disrespect to any rapper, because I mean, rap is within its own art form. But when you sing, you have to put the melody behind it. You have to hit your notes.
Yeah.
Real quick, a 1-2 when you spit an actual rhyme. Normally, for the people that don't know, you have a kick and a snare in 99% of the rap beats that rappers rap over.
Right.
If you don't, talk to your producers, there's something wrong. But there's a kick and a snare. So basically, this is the way I would do it. And I wish somebody would have told me that at the beginning instead of just fucking telling me to come in on beat. But basically, there's the kick and the snare. So what I would do was I would make sure that my bar started with the kick,
Right.
and that same bar needed to end with the snare of the beat.
Right.
That told me that my bar was on beat.
Right.
Had they fucking told me that, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Just come in on beat, stuff.
And then the drummer shows up drunk.
Oh my god.
So that's normally, so the reason I say that is because when you rap,
Right.
like I said, 98% of the time, as long as your bar hits those two,
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying if your lyrics are good or not, that's a whole different fucking story.
Right.
But as long as you hit those two, you can record a 16-bar verse.
Right.
You don't have to necessarily worry about putting a melodic tune to it. I mean, Bone Thugs and Harmony came in and switched all that shit up, but that's something different. They can rap and sing everything within the same bar. So
one track,
yeah. So
Let's be honest, a couple of those early albums, if you go and look at the lyric sheet, you're like, oh, this makes no goddamn sense. This sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw a documentary with them, and they asked Crazy Bone what Busy Bone's lyrics were like, and he told them, and he was like, oh man, they're this shit, they're awesome, it's fire. He was like, and what do they look like? A bunch of misspelled ass fucking words, but they make sense when you spit them out.
Definitely.
No pueden enseñarte. That was, if you saw him on camera, that was my father.
So taking care of the baby boy.
Yeah.
No, he was supposed to come do some earlier, but I told him to come earlier. I told him I was going to record right now. Anyway, after that short commercial break.
So you started singing first.
Yes. I started singing first. I was singing since, I want to say I was like 4 or 5, I think, when I first started singing in front of my family. Like we were all singing together, and then everybody stopped singing. And I was singing on my own, and I was like, everybody's looking at me. But that's when I was like, okay. And after that, I think they realized I could sing, and I realized I could sing. But then, like I said, at 8, they moved me down here. I remember in 3rd grade, over there, I had been in private school. I was a Catholic church girl. And my 3rd grade year was the first year I was in public school. And there was a talent show, and I had auditioned, like Wind Beneath My Wings. I had gotten it, so I was all excited. And then my parents were like, we're moving to Texas. I was like, what? No, not Texas. I of course envisioned Texas as cowboys and horses and stuff like that. So
99% of the rest of the
There are
world.
people
Yeah.
born down here who envisioned that as the rest of the state.
Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of crazy, but I mean it was alright. It was alright. But I stayed singing ever since then. When I came down here, I was kind of shy, but I think in 5th grade I did like music memory or something, and that kept me going in music. And when I got into choir, I was like choir in 6th grade, and I was in choir ever since then. I found karaoke, and that was really fun, and so karaoke became my life after that. Yeah, until I started, like I said, I had met somebody that was rapping, had some beats. I think it was like 2009 when that happened, and I was like, "What is this? I didn't know you could just do this on your own." You could actually do that. And he had like his whole setup, and it was the Fruity Loops, and he was messing with. And after that, a few years later, is when I discovered actually the Magic Studio one. And so
I heard of that one, never used it.
I have. It's really cool. I like that one. That one's
The other one that I
user-friendly and
used
stuff.
after the upgrade from Fruity Loops that I used was Reason.
I-
But I stopped using Reason because I'll be honest, I got confused. There was like 10 buttons that did the same thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then there was like 12 buttons that all did separate things. And I was like,
Right.
oh, fuck no.
Magic is really cool because it has like this tutorial you keep going through, so it's guiding you through as you're doing it and stuff. So it was pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty awesome. But after that, I mean, I just, like I said, dabbling in karaoke, did a lot of contests and stuff, and then like doing the rapping at home once I got my little studio going and stuff, and trying to get that up and running, and also personal life, work and stuff. So I have to like juggle everything.
Yeah, that 9 to 5 tends to get in the way of
Yeah.
of a lot of shit sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not like we can just be like, oh, fuck y'all,
Right.
because the check ain't there yet.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta keep on going, and so it's hard. So I have to try to do that on the side, and then I put it on to the side so that I can like work straight for a few days and make sure I have a paycheck coming in and stuff. And then okay, back to this. Poetry is something I've always done. I don't know what it is. I have a lot of emotions and stuff, but I've always been like that. I've always been like super emotional.
You were that was about to say, you were an emotional ass child.
I was actually. Come to point out,
I'm running away.
I'm actually bipolar, so there was a reason behind all of that emotion and stuff. Yeah. So.
Wait, before you continue.
Yes.
Are you like clinically diagnosed bipolar,
Yes.
or you're just saying yourself?
No. I am clinically diagnosed bipolar.
Oh,
Bipolar
shit.
depression.
Then you have what?
Bipolar depression.
Oh, I
There's
thought
different ones, you know what I mean? So.
I thought you said poor depression. Well, I think we all got that
We all
shit.
got poor depression. We're all poor depressed.
Yeah,
You want to compare single digit bank accounts?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
Early diagnosis or later on?
Early, actually. I was okay. I was at 15. I was hospitalized, and then they diagnosed me with major depression at the time, which was a misdiagnosis. So I think when I was like 24 is when they finally were like, oh, my bad, you're actually bipolar depression.
They tend to do that.
Yeah, let's give you some medicine that'll actually work. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. At 24 years old, after like 9 years have passed, But it was cool. I mean, I'm not on medication or anything now. After a few years after that, I said, I figured out how to cope with it and deal and realize what my triggers were, what really upset me, and how to deal with my own emotions. And writing has a lot to do with that. So, but I don't take medicines or anything. I'm chill.
Because I'm also, it's a conversation that intrigues me a lot.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it back and forth. We actually want to do a segment. We're working on a mini series of segment on mental health.
Awesome.
But it's going to be a series of episodes because
Yeah.
you can't cover everything in one.
No way.
So I was going to say, because that interests me. So
Yeah.
especially what you said, that you learned to cope with bipolar disorder on
Yes.
your own. So if you don't mind Can you like elaborate on that? How you do that?
Well, I was, of course, going to a place, and they would go and give me medication. I would see a caseworker and talk to them and stuff. And, it's just, I think it was just being aware of myself, because I've always been very in tune with my emotions. It's just, there was too much, like I was like overloaded with all my emotion. So I know what taking the medication, because I'm an artist and we go off of emotion. Everything we do is about how we feel and what we go through and things like that. So on the medication, I couldn't feel,
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, there was a point where I just felt numb. Like I couldn't feel. Yeah. I was just kind of like
a zombie and shit.
What in the world? I can't do this, and I would tell my kid, I can't be on this medication, and, so she's just like, hey, you're you know how you feel. So if you feel like you need to wean off of it, then do that. And so I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take this into my own hands. So I just kept talking with her, but I stopped taking the medication.
Did you stop cold turkey?
I stopped cold turkey. I stopped completely. And I had told, I told her I'm not going to take it anymore. And, of course, they don't recommend that you do that. So I don't recommend anyone to do that. But I did because it's just the way I function, the way I work. When I decide that something's not working for me, I cut it off.
I'm the same way.
I completely just, I'm done.
That's how I quit drinking.
Yeah. You have to, I've been there, I've partied and all kinds of stuff. And I've just been, well, what am I doing? No, I need to stop this, move forward, And so that's kind of what I was doing at that point.
So you said that you were able to identify your triggers. I've never spoken, because I've spoken to a lot, and I actually dated somebody that was severely bipolar.
Right.
Of course, I didn't find this out until after the fact, but the flying knives should have told me something, right?
You should have.
But no. But I guess like I've never heard anybody like openly say I learned to identify my triggers.
Right.
The people that I've dealt with didn't really know themselves what would trigger them.
Yeah.
So I guess if it's cool with you for me to ask, like what were some of your triggers and how were you able to identify them without medication?
Well, I guess I spent a lot of time alone. Like I started like weaning people out of my life. People that I felt were either just taking, from me and not giving anything back, or just weren't bringing any type of positivity into my life. I started just like, you know what? I need to just focus on myself, because that took me away from focusing on myself. They want to party and they want to do all these things, and that's not good for me. And I wasn't focusing on myself. I was letting myself stray and do all these things instead of knowing I have a problem. Like I need to focus on what's happening with me and in my head. So I know that I overthink things. So I tried to not overthink things too much. Or I have my best friend. I had like, my partner at the time, or a few friends that knew how I was, my cousin. And so when I would feel like I was having a moment, like let's say I'd get upset over something that messed up my entire day. So I'd contact them and just talk through it with them. Just pretty much just talking through it.
A non-certified therapist.
Pretty much. Or I just talk to myself like, okay, you're overreacting. Why are you really upset? Kind of thing. And kind of like going through that process by myself, because then it would be, I'd get to the point where I was just like, okay, there's no reason for you to be this upset over this. It's something that you're just overly emotional about for whatever reason. My triggers, because of the fact that I did see people, and I talk a lot. I talk a lot to a lot of people. I talk to my friends. I let them know about things that I've been through that have made me the way I am, for instance, because I feel like that's a really important thing to tell people so that they know where you're coming from. And so I did that. I did that with them. And it helped to, when I was feeling too emotional or something was going off because somebody did something to me, I could relate it back to, well, when I was younger, my dad, and like, okay, that's really where this is coming from. And so I've just learned to know where it's coming from. Like, okay, I'm upset because I spilled this cup of soda all over my bed, and I tripped over this shoe and stuff, but I'm not really upset over that. I'm upset because I'm having a bad day, because of whatever. And usually it's hard to say, but most people like we bring it all goes back to something that happened in our past, you know, and even though you're trying to think that it's not because of something that happened in your past, you bring it up into your everyday life. And so I've tried to like let go of that, you know, and just think positively every moment, and bringing positivity really helps. Going to church, I started going to church a lot, you know, because I was crying all the time. Going to church really, really helped. And having, whenever they would sing and worship and stuff, like, I don't know, that just felt so powerful to have everybody singing together and stuff. I'd sit in the back with a hoodie, you know, and then I just like cry, you know, until I got through it and I get through the moment. And by the time you know it, I was singing with everybody and I was feeling better about myself. But I had to take time to like focus on myself. I spend a lot of time like focusing on other people, relationships, you know, take up a lot of our time and we forget to think about ourselves. And that's a big part of it too, is like people, you're not taking care of yourself. And so you lose track of that and you stray, you know, and so mental health is about mental health. We have to take care of ourselves mentally, you know, physically, it's all related. And so taking that time to do that. So, I mean, it just talking to people, you know, just paying attention to myself, like really had a big thing to do with it. I paid attention to myself when I was getting upset, you know, what time of the month it was or whatever it could be, you know what I mean? But those certain things so that I know, well, it's just because it's this certain time period where, you know, my grandma had passed away. So I know that I get kind of cranky around that time, you know, and things like that. So it's just those certain things that happen, knowing when they're going to happen, just being prepared for it too, and preparing yourself like mentally, like, you know, that day is coming, just, you know, chill, you know, or plan to do something with the family or something to keep your mind off of it also. So it's a lot of different things.
Being conscious of that, 'cause I've talked to a lot of writers in particular, but I think it also, we've had similar conversations around comedy. Occasionally you get this advice of, it's like, okay, just do the creative thing. That'll help you deal.
Right.
And I think a lot, for the most part, a good thing. Right. It gives you that outlet for the built up kind of emotional pressure. But I think there is a point at which you can kind of it's almost like shifting the blame. You go, well, I took care of that. I talked about it. And it's
exactly.
Like, did you though?
Yeah, you're just putting it to the side still. You know, you're not really dealing with the issue. You're putting it into something else. It helps with the coping method, but there's more that goes behind that. And so, yeah, when I'm too emotional, I'm crying and I'm whatever emotions go, I'm angry, you know, or whatever the emotion may be. And I just feel I have to sit and just start writing, you know, and it just all start coming out. And once I'm done, I feel better. You know, I feel like a relief, but then I have to express it somehow, read it or, you know, talk to somebody about it, or I was upset. Let me read you what I wrote. And then talking about why I wrote it and stuff. So it's.
So I'm guessing, wow, I'll be honest. Like I said, I've dealt with, like, without exaggerating, about 4 or 5 really severe bipolar people. And I've dealt with 2 schizophrenic people. 2 totally different conditions.
Right.
But the reason that I bring it up is because, honestly, nobody's explained it like that. So, I was going to ask you, you're in a relationship now, right?
Yes, I am.
So, I was in a relationship with 2 bipolar people, like I said. I didn't understand it. I was a lot younger, too.
Right.
I didn't understand it. I thought it was just like a fit, and it was just what it was, and it kept happening, like reoccurring very often, and it became so like every day. Right. Eventually, that's why the relationship broke, right? But a lot of it had to do with me as well, because I walked away because I didn't know what else to do, right? So the reason as to why I say that is because, like, how, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been in this relationship?
Going on 3 years.
Okay. Perfect. That's more than enough time. So how does it work? Like, how does it work, or how do y'all deal with each other, or how does this person deal with you?
Well, I mean, the good thing is that, she's like real passive and chill. You know, and so, and I'm not.
Yeah, it was not passive.
Yeah, you need to have a lot of patience. I honestly, I dated someone that was bipolar.
Ugh.
And
How did that work out?
we got married
Oh, shit.
and divorced. Yeah, that didn't work out. That wasn't a good idea. Not to mention we were the exact same zodiac sign, so there's a lot of bad things in that. It wasn't a good deal, but she had a different type of bipolar. Like, it was bipolar psychosis, and I've
heard of that too.
Yeah, I was like, I'm bipolar. It's all good, you know. No, it's completely different, you know. And I'm real chill, and I need peace. And that she did not. That wasn't her. She was like, you know, it was just like on 100 all the time, crazy, you know, like to party, drink, and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, just chill. Let's be a family, you know? And that wasn't possible. So, with my partner right now, she is really, really awesome. We're a team, you know, we do 50-50. So it's like, I carry her, you carry me, you know? So when she's having a bad day and emotional, calls me or talks to me about it, I'm like, hey, it's okay. You know, we're going to get through this. It's all going to be good, you know, and same on her end. I'm having a bad day. I'm breaking down upset because, you know, whatever's going on in life. And she's just like, baby, it's all good. It's okay. You know, it's okay. Let it out, cry, and then just wipe your tears and fix your crown. I'm like, okay, I'm fixing my crown, you know? And so, I mean, she's just really supportive and really awesome. And she's just kind of understanding.
Was she always that way, or is it something that
she was always really good? But from the beginning, I made very sure to tell her, listen, I'm bipolar. You know, this is a certain way I am. There are certain things, you know, that I do. I don't want you to freak out, or, you know, I tend to, like, you know, get really upset over things. You just not to be there, like, just talk to me, you know. So I kind of gave her a rundown, which I do when I'm going to date somebody. You know, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. This is not a normal relationship, you know. But I mean, it's not a bad one. It's just a matter of understanding so that you know what's happening.
So like, I'm curious, because I mean, you don't have to be bipolar to go through this shit.
Nah.
Like, what I'm saying is, like, we all have, like Sean, right, me, everybody. Yeah. We all have triggers that piss us off for whatever reason, right? So I'm more curious, like, how do arguments work between y'all?
Between us?
Like when y'all really do get mad at each other.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with your being bipolar or whatever.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure you piss her off and she pisses you off, and it has nothing to do with.
Yeah. See, like I said, she's real passive, right? So she's the type to just kind of like just chill. Like, I just need to leave her alone for a little while, and then we can talk about it once, you know, she's calm, kind of deal. But I'm the type that I want to talk about it right then and there. Like, we're going to talk about this.
No.
We're going to talk about this because we need to communicate, and communication is key, you know? Just typical chick over here, you know? But it's so funny, and she's just, you know, she needs space, just like anybody else, you know, might need some space and stuff. It's different, but we talk about it, you know, and I made that clear. It's been a long road to here. I mean, this isn't the way it was, you know, before. It was kind of hard where we wouldn't talk for days because we were upset, and then, you know, finally get to talking about things. And I'm just like, we just need to talk about it, you know, and I'm just a very strong believer on the communication. And I know that I have to understand, though, too, that when people get mad, sometimes they need to be left alone or they're going to blow up, you know, and I understand, you know, everybody copes differently. So I think it's just understanding how, you know, you cope and how I cope, and knowing, okay, you know what, she just needs some time. She'll be back in 5 minutes, you know, or, you know, oh no, we're going to have to talk about this right now. You know?
And, it's crazy. See, this is why I love doing this shit. As far as like the podcast and everything, cause I just right now, this very minute, I just learned, you taught me something else. I mean, aside from the bipolar and how it works. Right. You just put something in a different perspective for me that maybe it would have helped in my marriage. Right. Too late now, right? But I'm not going to go back and, hey, I figured it out.
Yeah. We can try now. Let's do this.
No, fuck that.
We'll just pass along a note for the next motherfucker.
Yeah, just like, hey, I found out the secret.
Yeah. So basically, cause I want to say 75 to 80% of the shit that you're saying, right, that should be done, I understand and it makes sense. Right. But I just realized right now, like you're absolutely right. And that part I didn't notice it just today. Like over time, the whole time that we've been separated, I've been able to figure shit out. Like a lot of shit happened because of things that I personally went through as well. Like I lost my mom and shit like that, and I had never been through something like that. But anyway, what I'm saying is, like, the way that you explain to be able to have the patience to know when to, like, back up. Because I was that person. I was raised in the way that, hey, dude, you got a problem, we can talk about it.
Right.
And I'm like that with everybody. I hate gossip.
Yeah.
I will never talk about my problem with somebody else.
Right.
With a completely different person that's not that person. I'm not there. You know what I mean? If I have a problem, I come to you. And I don't even come like in the confrontational type. I come as in, hey man, there's this problem. You got a problem with me. I got a problem with you. Can we talk about it? Where's the misunderstanding at? In the relationship, I was the same way. Like, can we do, because my grandfather always taught me growing up, you know, it was ever since I was a little kid, he said, it doesn't matter what the problem is or what the problem is about. If you can sit in front of each other as real human being and put your problems out on the table, I guarantee you 99 times out of 100, you're going to figure out the solution.
Right.
Even if the solution at the end of the day is to agree to disagree.
There you go.
And he's like, sometimes you just got to be fine with that.
Exactly.
And I learned that.
Right.
But in order for you to get to that part, you need to talk.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've dated a whole bunch of motherfuckers that don't talk at all. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh.
So it's like you have to guess everything. It's like, all right, is she feeling this? Is she feeling that? I mean, am I doing it right? I mean, do I back up now? And then if I do back up, why ain't you talking to me? It's like, bitch. You know what I mean? So, and in my marriage, it was the same. It was the same way.
Right.
Either I talked too much,
Right.
or I didn't talk enough.
Right.
And then I would get severely frustrated.
Yeah.
And then that's when I would blow up and be like, okay, well, which one do you want?
Right.
Because, I mean, you need to, like, let me know.
Right. Right.
And then if I did that, it's like, you giving me attitude. It's like, oh, shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's intriguing. It's intriguing the way that you deal with your bipolar disorder, and because me and him have talked about it a lot, right? And I've told him before, I really think, without exaggerating, that about 80 to 90% of the world, not the country, the world, we have mental issues that we're just choosing not to treat, because of the stigma that comes with seeing a psychiatrist, seeing a psychologist, talking. Like, there's a big stigma with, like, if you tell somebody that you need mental help, they want to stigmatize you as like you're crazy. Yeah. And a lot of the times it's like, no, dude, like, I'm not crazy. I just got some shit I got to work out.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? It's like, it's literally like working out. Like, I'm fat.
Right.
But I can work this out if I go to the gym, you know? That's what I've been trying to get people to understand. Yeah. People, just because mentally they have an issue, I mean, not unless you're mentally retarded. That's different. You're fucked. Yeah. But, no offense if you're retarded. But,
don't understand.
So yeah, I mean, people just have something to work out, and unfortunately, because of the stigma that it still carries today, a lot of people are afraid to speak up about it. People that have bipolar disorder, people that are schizophrenic, they choose not to talk because, ain't nobody gonna talk to me. They're not gonna pay attention to me. They're gonna think I'm crazy. They're gonna stick me into a mental asylum, and maybe they will. You know, but that, because these conversations are not are not happening.
Right.
So, hence going back to what I mentioned earlier, this is why I think that mental health should, and I was going to tie this into the whole gun control situation.
Oh, yeah.
We need gun control. People are not waking up to the issue that the problem are not really like the gun. I mean, there is a gun problem.
Right.
But I believe that the bigger problem is the mental health.
Yeah.
A lot of the people, and I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that because we've had that conversation plenty of times on here, but a lot of the people that have caused these mass shootings and shit, there is underlying issues that go back to like mental health.
Right.
And it's because like these conversations are not being had and they just said, well, it's because there's no gun control and shit like that.
Right.
I'm not against gun control. I mean, I'm not against you having guns, but I'm not for it either.
Right.
And what that means is, yeah, man, if you want to have a handgun, if you want to have a 38, a 9mm, what I'm against is like regular civilians having fully automatic weapons designed for war.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I have plenty of people that disagree with me.
Right.
To paint a broader picture, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but they happen to be Republicans. But with that being said, there's a lot of people that disagree with me, and that's fine. But I have my strong points of views as far as like, I really feel that as a civilian, as me and you, you have no need for a fully automatic weapon that disperses over 80 shots in less than 2 minutes.
Right.
And I tell them, if you do, then you probably have a much bigger problem if you think you need that much firepower to protect yourself from somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, but I mean, you know, if you want to have a handgun because somebody might run up in your house. And,
I mean, that's different.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
The 9mm is for motherfuckers on the street. The fully automatic is for the tax man.
No,
but I think we also ran into, going back to the you know, personality disorders and stuff. We also had this big push towards like I went to school in the 90s and all that, and you had this, you know, we're all just special and individual and unique, and it's like, yes, and some of us are goddamn crazy.
Exactly.
Like,
now given,
right,
I strongly also agree and stand by the fact that I know that there's some of us that should never hold a gun.
Exactly.
You know, even if it's a fucking pellet gun, I don't want you nowhere near it.
Right. I think that they should take, you know, psychic evaluations for something like that. I mean, not like that, but if it's somebody that already has issues, they shouldn't have a gun or they shouldn't be issued a gun.
And I'll tell you right now, well, I mean, I can't, again, I'm not going to go deep into it, but I'm not legally supposed to have weapons myself.
Right.
So, and I'm not crazy, but I will tell you this. I've been driving at 5:30 p.m. On a Friday afternoon on the expressway on my way home with a line of motherfuckers in front of me. And then that reminds me of like, this is why I can't have a gun. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly why. So,
I pondered violent action at least a dozen times on the way over here.
Like,
oh gosh, no, that's not good.
It says 30, you're going 25, motherfucker.
You know, I have that road rage too. I don't feel like murdering anybody or anything, but I do get really angry and I just want them to move out of my way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm that crazy person you see yelling, ah!
Exactly, man. Then we got the whole social thing. Both parents are out of the house, working day jobs. You know, who's actually spending a lot of time with the kids while they're coming up. You know, are you noticing how they're responding to certain situations?
Right.
Like, I remember a teacher taking my mom aside one time and go, "Have you ever considered how he deals with conflicts? Because it doesn't seem to be healthy."
Yeah.
And then the school has to get involved in obligation versus actual interest and the benefit of an individual. And and you get a lot of people going with the whole, we're all individual snowflakes. It's being in relationships and stuff like that. And occasionally you go, hey, you might want to think about how you're dealing with this. And they go,
Right.
that's just how I deal. And you go, well, that's not how maybe you should be in a healthy situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the dialogue, in the last 10 years or so, at least, is when I've become aware of it, is the dialectic, not necessarily therapy, but the tools for
Right.
people who actually have, say, triggers or,
Yes.
latent, whatever it is.
Right.
When you start to notice, it's like all of a sudden you go from dealing with your partner as your partner to it's like you're all of a sudden yelling at them like they're someone from your past. And
Right.
if you're not aware of that scenario, all of a sudden they're standing there going, why the fuck are you throwing this at me?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's why I said, like, I always, in the beginning, say everything. This is how I am. These are things that I've been through, and give all that information so that down the line, when something happens, you'd be like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. You need a moment.
See,
People think I'm joking, but safe words are useful.
Yes, they are. No, they are.
See,
Code blue.
I tried doing that and it didn't work out. I told her, I was like, look, I was touched when I was a kid, so that's gonna cause me to touch you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that didn't work out. So.
Not the same.
An explanation is not an excuse.
No. Different scenario.
No, but what I was gonna tie the previous conversation all back around is, I thought that's what you were going for, and I was like, get it, Sean, but then you went a different direction. With what you're saying right now about not having these conversations and the dialogue.
Right.
So the bigger picture is just, that's the simple plain fact. We are not talking about these issues. And secondly, have you noticed, and this is going to sound really weird if you've never thought about it, but when was it? Well, I mean, maybe you're a bad example because of what you just said and everything, because of the way you deal things.
Okay.
But like, let me ask you, when was the last time that you actually talked to somebody? Just because.
About once a week.
That exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
But it's true.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? Everything else outside of that,
Right.
it's a text message.
Right.
It's, I'm going to be on Facebook.
Right.
You go to fucking Applebee's.
Yeah.
And you got a family of 5 and
Everybody's on the phone.
this is the conversation.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you none of them are talking to each other through the phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is my point. I mean, it's funny, but it's fucked up.
Yeah.
So my point is, the best way that I can explain it is, I really believe that the biggest issue with all of this is the fact that we do not talk to each other.
Yeah.
We lost that social connection
Right.
between, like, hey, shit, I was about to call you by your government name and shit. I was, hey, but I like really mean it. Like when
Right.
you go up to, hey, Sean, how you doing? A lot of people say, hey, how you doing? But they don't give a fuck. It's just a conversation open
Yeah.
up to them.
Yeah.
But ain't nobody asking how you doing, really trying to find out.
Right. How are you really
You know,
doing?
how are you really doing?
Yeah.
I was guilty of that too. I'm no exclusion to that.
Right.
But recently, over, I want to say the past year, I've made it a point to reach out to people just because, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm not going to lie to you. Some motherfuckers got back to me and was like, dude, why you hitting me up like that? It's just weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck, that's kind of sad that he actually thinks it's weird, you know?
There's a disconnect that goes along
Yeah.
with the usual stuff. Like you were talking about.
And then the other thing, real quick, the other thing I get, like after, hey man, how you doing? What do you need?
Right.
Well, fuck, man, I was just going to say how you doing. I mean, just, you know what I'm saying?
Now that I've definitely given the benefit of the doubt to a lot more people more often. Like usually somebody hadn't hit me up for a while. They hit me up.
Yeah,
What the fuck
exactly.
do you want?
Yeah.
But like now it's like, okay, I want to know why you're calling me, but
Yeah.
I'm open to the idea that you're calling me because maybe that something has happened that is different in your world and you're trying to relate to me as you know,
Right.
a human being in a different manner. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Just to kind of circle back a little bit, you were talking about the gun thing. a lot more states are passing these red flag laws where if something goes on, the state can legally come in and take your guns. I know maybe 3 people where this has happened to before, and I've had to do it at least on 2 occasions where I went to someone, I was like, hey man, you're dealing with some shit right now. Let me take the guns.
Right.
I know you got the rifle, the shotgun, and a couple of pistols in there. Just let me take them. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a phone call away. If something happens, you can call me, but and this isn't like I demand that or I won't be your friend. It's like, you're dealing with something. Right. I know you're dealing with something. Let me help you in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
And to bring that into the larger model, I think I don't want to say that we're not necessarily connected socially anymore, because more and more we seem to be all up in each other's business, but there doesn't seem to be any weight to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, nobody's actually you're talking about like making an effort. I've got one real close friend who every time we sit down and talk, we basically go down the checklist. How's this going? How's this going? How's this going? And it's not necessarily that you have to, but it gives you the context,
Right.
Where's your head at? How
was,
can we go from here?
That was going to lead me into my other question. I know you're in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But when was the last time you had a friend date?
A friend date?
Yeah. You see how she fucking repeated a friend date? What the fuck is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's been, it's been a few months maybe. Cause, one of my friends, she had been going through like this, separation from her chick. So she had contacted me, and I said, well, I don't go out. I try not to go out. I'm an old lady.
I don't go out either.
I'm an old lady. I like to be in bed by like 10. So I get really sleepy.
Yeah, me too.
But, for her, I was like, let's go, so we went out. We played, you played Heads Up, that game with Ellen, they put on the head and you got to try to guess what it says. We were playing that in the club.
Damn,
but you know what?
Crazy.
She had fun. She's like, I love playing this game with you. This is what I want to do. I was like, okay, well, let's sit here and play Heads Up, and we had a good time, but it's been months now. It's been a few months, and I hit her up and I'm like, come on, dude, let's, how you been, friend? I haven't heard from you or anything. Let's sit and talk, and to have that conversation, because it's true. You don't hear from people in a while and you never know what's going on.
And I guess the bigger point that I was trying to get across, I don't even want to say it like that because I actually do want to get that point across. I was going to say, I don't want to say call somebody every day, but actually I do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was trying to say. Like there's nothing wrong with calling somebody, reaching out to somebody every day. I mean, don't fucking take up their whole fucking day because I ain't got time for you all day either. You know what I mean? But do reach out to somebody every day, even if it's a different person, because like I was saying earlier, like that social connection is missing. And what a lot of people don't know is, I don't know if you have kids or not, but like you're kind of bleeding that into like your kids.
Right.
I was, and I'm not going to lie, I still am a very antisocial person. Yeah. I get social anxiety. I don't like being around people. I don't like people being around me. But the bigger picture behind that is because I always have the feeling in my gut that like if I'm around a lot of people, I never know your truest intentions.
Right.
I also don't know if you have a gun.
Right.
I mean, this is where my mind goes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a gun. I don't know how, if you do have a gun, I don't know how you're going to react to certain shit.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a gun, if I say something, I don't know how you're going to react to it. Exactly. We in public. So I go through all these scenarios where by the end of the scenario, I ended up dead.
Right.
So.
Are you sure you're not bipolar?
No.
I'm just saying because I do the same thing, but, from different scenarios, and I have social anxiety. So that's why I don't go out too much.
Yeah.
I like to go out and be around people, but it's just sometimes I just can't handle it because my mind just starts going. Like your mind's your worst enemy.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Hold on, man. We're coming up on the first hour here. Though to close it out, I would say have dinner with your kids, damn it. But, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. And we're back.
By the way, you sound very, with all due respect, sexy behind the microphone. You ever thought of being a like a 1-900 app operator?
No.
Real real quick for our listeners. Not really for our listeners. It's more for me. But anyway, just real quick, just say. So what are you wearing?
So what are you wearing?
Jesus.
Lord. Don't get too excited.
You remind me of that commercial. She sounds hideous. Well, she's a guy, so remember the State Farm commercial?
Oh, that's right. She sounds hideous. Well, it's a guy, so like that's funny.
So as far as your artistry and your music, you've been doing it for a long time. You've been doing it since you were a kid. Where do you want to go with it? Do you want that to be your career? Is that what you're working on, or is it more of like it's a hobby?
No, it's a hobby because it hasn't gone very far.
No, I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I totally like my vision, of course, would be to make that my career. You know, okay. I'm very artistic. Like I said, I write, I sing, you know, and so I want to be able to do that. You know, if I would be able to do that full time and that be my job, my career, that would be absolutely magical. But you know, that's the goal, of course. Small steps.
That makes three of us. Well, I mean, you want to sing. We just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't heard my demo tape.
I have not.
Yeah, man, because I just feel, especially with somebody like you and everything that you've opened up to and let us know here right now. I mean, aside from it being like therapeutic for you,
right.
I just tell everybody, whatever your passion is, as long as like it's not illegal.
Right.
Like we all know that Frank Lucas's passion was supply and demand of drugs.
Right.
He made it very far, but those are very far few and fetched. So right. I don't condone anybody.
To be fair, if you read Frank Lucas's stuff, his passion was making money. It just happened to be he didn't like paying taxes on it. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Thank you for putting it in kind of a positive way. You know what I mean? So
we're coming up on that season.
Oh yeah, tax season.
Yeah, so I tell everybody, I mean, whatever your passion is, because something that I've noticed, and I know I'm going to get a bunch of backlash for saying this shit openly, but I really feel that 90% of us, nobody's dream, forget my personal opinion,
right?
Nobody's dream is, I want to grow up to work a 9 to 5.
Right.
I really don't believe that. I believe that we all have a dream that we wish that we could attain at some point. But like I've told Sean before, I think the difference is that there's very few that have the balls, figuratively speaking,
right,
to actually like go out and get it.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people. Like I was like, man, nobody is ever going to find me funny. Ain't nobody ever going to pay to see my crippled ass on the stage. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to pull up at a fucking stage. And they told me that it was a comedy show, not the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what I mean? So, I just, you know, like, but I really do think that everybody has a dream that if they could actually do it.
Right.
And they can. Like, I tell everybody, you can.
Right.
It's just very few of us, like, we don't want to sacrifice. There's a lot of, no. Like, everybody wants the life and the career.
Yeah.
But we don't want to put the work in.
Right.
Everybody just wants to wake up and blow up.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm famous, I got money now. And it came, you know what I'm saying? So it
doesn't work that way.
It does. It sure as hell doesn't. And then it's funny because, like, at the point where I'm at in my career now, there's some people that see me and I get the laughs and go to the shows and shit like that. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, it's cool. and how much money are you making? And they're surprised when I tell them that I still do a lot of this shit for free.
Right.
This shit that we're doing here now.
Right.
I've had people ask me, they're like, hey man, you do this shit every Monday. Like, you know, you've been doing it for over a year, almost 2 years now.
Right.
Like, how's the money? And I was like, bro, we not making any money.
Right.
So you're doing this shit for free? I was like, yeah, pretty much. Why? I was like, bro, cause I love to talk shit.
The way to throw that back around is be like, think about how much you don't do at the job that actually pays you, and then think about how much I do just because I feel like it.
There you go.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that I really believe that everybody has the power to attain like whatever it is that you want to do. It's just like you that you want to be a singer.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you've already ran into some of it, but there's a lot of things that you have to do and sacrifice and not do and change that come with the territory to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to sound very weird when I say it, but like some people say, you damn nearly have to sell your soul to,
right.
Which I don't condone that for anybody doing that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you blow up, I want you to blow up because you're talented, not because you joined the Illuminati or some shit.
Exactly.
I've been on the waiting list for about 20 years now. So
still haven't been accepted.
Funny story.
Can we negotiate these child sacrifices? I'm just not comfortable with that.
So funny story. I'm not sure I've shared it on the podcast. And I regret not doing what I'm about to say, but you'll see what I mean. No bullshit. I regret not screenshotting the message. Somebody hit me up on social media with a long message. It was about fucking 16 or 17 lines. Basically, long story short, it read, how would you like to be rich and famous? You can do this by joining the most powerful group in the world. And I was like, man, the Wu-Tang still recruiting y'all? So I continued reading it. And he said, you can join the Illuminati today and you can become one of the most powerful people in the world. And whatever your dream is, if you want to be a musician or a comedian. Right. And I know that this message was personalized to me.
Right.
Because the person that wrote it was like, I see that you're a comedian.
Right.
You can blow up as a worldwide comedian in a very short time. All you need to do is join our secret group.
Right.
And this is the part I regret not joining because I didn't do that shit. But I regret not screenshotting it, and I was like, hey, I was recruited. You know what I'm saying? But from this point forward, I don't know any of you motherfuckers.
You know, I actually got a message like that on Instagram from Illuminati. Was it on Instagram?
Yeah.
I was like, it's real. I showed my friend. I was like, dude, the Illuminati is real. I'm not trying to go down like that. Like, damn, no, I'm good. Yeah. So I showed a few people because I was like in awe.
See?
I couldn't believe it.
Thank you, Pika. I told a couple of people.
It's real.
And they
Illuminati status right here.
So it reminds me of a joke that Eric, what's his fucking last name? He's a well-known comedian. Eric Myers. Okay. There's a comedian, Eric Myers. He runs this bit where he says, yeah, man, when I was coming up as a comedian, I was already blowing up. I had a following and everything. Not that big, but I had a following. I was doing comedy clubs across the country. And I actually met with my very first agent in Los Angeles. And these people were trying to sign me to be my representative. So I went, I was like, hell yeah, I'm trying to get signed. So I sat there, and these are literally the questions that they asked me. Well, Eric, how long have you been doing comedy? I've been doing it for about 15 years. And he's like, okay, that's very good. What comedy clubs have you played? And I told him. And then they said, Eric, how big is your following on social media? Well, I mean, Facebook, I got about 3,000 people. How big is your following on Instagram? Well, I got about 4,000 people. Well, how big is your following on YouTube? Well, I got about 1,000 people. Right. It's like, okay, Eric, we will get back to you. Oh, well, do you have any questions for us, Eric? Yeah, man, just one question. What about my fucking jokes? Y'all have not asked me anything about I thought it was hilarious. And he went on to say that in today's age,
right,
he came to figure out that, unfortunately, it's not how talented you are as a singer, how talented you are as a comedian, how talented you are with your craft. It's all about what kids call today clout. Like, how big is your following? And I get it. It's a marketing thing. It's a numbers game. I get it. But at some point, goddamn, your talent gotta mean something.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Well, there is something to be said for that split between the business and the craft in some sense. Just as an example, we're on YouTube. I follow some of that stuff, and every once in a while they'll give you like a little recommended, here, tips and tricks for the creators. And there was one that went up a couple days ago, and it was, not to go into too many details, but it was basically, how can you, better reach a more diverse and all this audience? And like the first 100 responses were, why'd you demonetize Happy Bear, which is apparently just a channel with songs and colors for infants.
What in the world? They
had enough of a following and enough of a rabid following that they were pissed off that fucking YouTube had fucked with their person.
Yeah.
And it's
and I mean, see, and that's another thing that I have us as comedians because it's really affecting like the comedy world.
Right.
This whole cancel culture. Oh, you can't say this, you can't say faggot, you can't say bitches. Somebody told me the other day that today you can no longer say crazy.
People get really offended.
Exactly. And I was like, well, you know what, dude? That's fucking crazy.
Like, people get offended when I call myself crazy. Like, I'm like, I got the crazies, Don't say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm calling myself crazy. Yeah. I know I am.
And the other one, the other one that gets me all the time, because half of my act got to do with it, is when they told me I couldn't say retarded.
Oh.
I was like, I don't know how I'm going to stop using retarded if it describes so many fucking people. You know what I'm saying? And then one of D.L. Hewley's greatest fucking bits where he said that now they're trying to compare retarded to the N-word, that it's as offensive. And he's like, no, hold up, wait a minute. He's like, the N-word is a derogatory term to oppress a certain kind of person.
Right.
Retarded, it actually describes a medical condition.
Right.
You can go to the doctor and they will tell you, ma'am, you have a retarded kid. Right. And he's like, you could be mad if you want to, but when you leave that office, you're going to leave with a retarded kid. You know what I'm saying? He's like, nobody ever contracted the N-word.
No, not at all.
We were briefly talking about the Dave Chappelle special out there, and there's that one joke that, like, you see a couple people going, he's right, but I don't think it's quite getting the say, attention in the discussion that it should be.
Ooh, which one is this?
When he's talking about walking into I believe it was a TV exec, and he's like, we can't have you using the F word. And he's like, why? He's like, well, because you're not. And then he turns around and he goes, but I'm not that other one either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the way, well, I mean, I think because Dave is at a point in his career where he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like you can't, where you gonna cancel? I mean, they already took a show, the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
So he's like, what else are you gonna cancel?
Right.
Well,
You know
also,
what I'm saying?
you're talking about, he's late 40s?
Yeah.
I know he's younger than he looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's at that point. He's got teenage kids. He's lived his life. He's gone through a vast array of experiences. I mean, you're talking about a guy that, went from, performing with a small little mic in the middle of a fucking park to doing just insane numbers. You know what I mean? And yeah, at that point, it's not, an opinion goes from, okay, this is something you think, to, no, this is something I pretty much know. I've got the data to back this one up. So you're not going to talk me out of it.
Yeah. And me, like, I'm not by far, like a big time comic. I don't have a comedy special. I don't have anything.
Right.
But I used to run a joke about faggot, the word, you know what I'm saying? And I explain in the premise of the joke.
Right.
I literally tell them, even when I say the word, I don't mean to offend people.
Right.
I say it because it's funny, just like retarded is. It sounds funny. Say it 3 times. Retarded, retarded, retarded. It sounds funny. You know what I mean? So I'm not Joey Diaz's bit. It's good. I'm not gonna change the way I've been talking for 30 years just because you got your panties up in a bunch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and I actually, we've had this conversation. I've had a lady come up to me after one of my shows, and she told me, she was like, you're really funny, sir. You're hilarious. But the only thing is, she literally told me this. She said, you can't say the R word. And she caught me off guard. I was like, the R word? What the fuck is the R word? And I was like, you mean R. Kelly? She was like, no.
That's offensive too, but not what I'm talking about.
That is.
I was like, I didn't pee on anybody, but
Do you believe you can fly?
Oh my god.
No, but she was, and then she was like, no, the other one. And I was like, oh, retarded. That one. And I was like, what, I mean, why not?
Right.
And then she was like, well, because, and this is what pissed me off even more. Like, I understood why she got offended. So then I went on to ask her. I was like, I never said I was sorry. I'm not going to say that. I didn't say I was sorry. When I told her, I was like, let me ask you, like, are you mentally retarded? I mean, she was like, no. This is what pissed me off more. She was like, but I have a sister that's mentally challenged. So then I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. So I was like, oh, you know what? Is she here? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, no, she's not here. She's at home. Like, wait a minute, bitch. You're not retarded. The retarded one's not here. She didn't hear me.
Right.
And then what I told her was, ma'am, this was my reply to her.
Right.
When I say something on stage, you have to understand that the premise of that joke and the delivery was with the full intention of making you laugh.
Right.
I didn't do it from any place of harm or anger or anything like that.
Right.
Now, another thing that I want you to notice, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody else that was around you when I said that joke laughed.
Right.
So the perception that you have of it, or the way you took in that joke, I don't have the control over.
Right.
And I told her, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not going to stop saying retarded.
Right.
And she was like, good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. She just walked the fuck off. Right. By the way, I've never gone back to perform there, but because they I'm not going to mention who it is because I'm not going to fuck with their business, but it's not the first time.
They catch a bad Yelp review.
I've performed there a couple of times, and somebody else got offended because I said a gay joke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said a gay joke. They got offended.
I mean, I just feel like, when it's comedians, that they're talking shit. Like, that's the whole point of comedy, is to talk shit and laugh about it. Like, it's funny. So if you're not able to laugh about stuff, normal, regular, whatever it may be, I mean, it's pretty much, it's an open stage when it comes to comedy. People are gonna joke about whatever's funny. There's a lot of shit that's funny that's not very nice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, if the comic hops off stage and starts calling you derogatory names
that's
at the
different.
bar,
Completely different. You're insulting people. Yeah.
Perfect fucking example. And I know you probably don't know about it, but we do. That whole Michael Richards situation. That was totally fucked. This dude, you know who Michael Richards is? What's his real name? Is that his? I always
Michael Kramer.
Kramer.
Oh, okay, okay.
From Seinfeld.
Yes, okay.
This motherfucker got on stage and said the N word like 15 times.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, later we found out that he was on cocaine, but anyway, no, for real, he was.
You know how it is. You do a little blow, all of a sudden you just want to start throwing it out there. Yeah.
So he said that two things that was fucked up about that situation. So he said the N word like literally 12 times, I think.
Yeah.
And that was bad within itself.
Right.
The second thing that was bad, they allowed him to say it on stage 12 times before anybody had a problem. They were just like, did he just say the N-word 12 times? It's like the first 11 were fine, but the 12 were.
All right, that was 12 too many.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
And again, Chappelle had the best take on that, which is like half of me was like, fuck this guy. And the other half was like, oh, he's having a bad set. Hang in there, Kramer. Hang in there.
Yeah, man.
But firsthand, best experience I can think of just, and this is even the more ridiculous side of it is there was I think it was 2018 comedy competition. There's a comic that has a joke about, doing Build-A-Bears for like disabled kids. And it's like do you put the bear in a wheelchair and all this? And there was one guy up in the front, front of the fucking auditorium in a wheelchair. And he's laughing, and everybody just like is eyeballing him like, is this okay?
Yeah.
It's like, if he wasn't here, would you laugh? Then go ahead and laugh.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I have a joke because I face the same shit. Well, I mean, I'm fucking crippled. That's another thing you can't say. You can't say crippled.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm fucking crippled anyway. So, you know what I mean? I mean, it's not going to change the situation if I say handicapped.
Yeah.
So, I have a joke about dating a woman in a wheelchair, and it's bad. Like I go in, you know what I'm saying? I was in Corpus,
right,
and it was a very small, intimate room,
right,
but it was packed, right? And I went up there, and that's something that I always do because it depends on how I start my set. So I scope the crowd. I look for faces, black, white, Chinese, everything, right, so that I can feed off them. In the front row, there was a white woman, a young woman, right, in a wheelchair. I got that fucking joke. So I had a split second to decide, Fred, are you going to say this shit? Or are you going to just go over it? Or you going to replace it? And I just thought to myself, if I replace it, I got to replace the 4 jokes before that.
Right.
I looked at her. I didn't say it. I thought it. I was like, bitch, I'm not changing myself for you. I'm really not. So what I did say before I started, I was like, ma'am, you're in a wheelchair. I just want to let you know, you're going to hear some shit. Just understand that they just jokes, all right? And she just gave me the straight face. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with this. Fuck it. So I go into my set, came to the wheelchair joke. Did the wheelchair joke. I got that reaction. This whole side of the room went silent, and they did this. This is what made me feel like I hit heaven. That chick in a wheelchair was laughing her ass off, holding her stomach. Nice. And I was like, y'all are the fucking assholes for not laughing. She's having a good time.
She's a person too.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny.
So like I said, the premise of the joke is about dating a woman in a wheelchair.
Right.
So I normally I don't end that joke because I don't have a lot of people in wheelchairs at my shows, but right. I told her, so ma'am, that means that you're not safe. I'm getting your number after the show and I'm locking the back brakes. Goddamn. You're not going nowhere.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So going back to the point that you were saying, and what I wanted to tie it into was music. It's affecting musicians as well. Right. Like the whole cancel culture. You can't say this. I gave Sean the perfect example, and I was going to give it to you. A couple of months ago, I was thoroughly listening to again. I've heard it a bunch of times, but I was thoroughly listening to Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP.
Oh yeah,
have you heard it?
Yes, of course.
I heard it. I was listening to it, and it hit me. I was like, "Holy shit! This is a homophobic fucking record." Yeah. And it didn't bother me.
Right.
Because I've heard it plenty of times before and I know what he's talking about.
Right.
But what I thought was, I was like, if M released this today, it would never fucking survive.
Yeah.
It's just, and then to tie it into comedy, I came home and I started watching an old, George Carlin special. And I was like, this shit would never see the light of day today. The shit that George Carlin was talking about. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched or listened to him.
No.
Okay. So I'll give you some homework whenever you have some time.
Okay.
Go home and watch a clip, any clip honestly, with his fucking career, there's plenty of them, but with his fucking career, any clip that you watch, 95% of it, people would be offended today. So I say that because, and he knows because he's seen me plenty of times, I'm like the watered down, Mexican version of like George Carlin. I just, that's where a lot, like I have very dark humor.
Right.
I used to run this joke until I found out that I unintentionally kind of paraphrased it and took it from somebody else. And it's not really a joke. It was kind of a tag that I would throw out there when people wouldn't laugh. Like I would say a joke and they wouldn't laugh. And this is what I would say. I was like, it's all right. I understand that some of my jokes are like food. Not everybody gets it. So, yeah. And then with some people, I would get the who's or ohs. But then I found out that, that's one of, his is a little different, but it's Anthony Jeselnik's, one of his bits. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta stop saying that. So, cause it was very similar to what he says.
Well, this goes into a conversation we've had, a couple times. I've been floating this idea that like, if art is asking questions, it's not, if you're making a statement, then write a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of comics get themselves into situations where it's, okay, if you phrase that as a joke, as a propositional question or something, you'd be fine.
Right.
But when you come out and you state this as a statement, it gets harder to separate the act from the actual belief.
Right. I think that's with everything. I mean, it's all about how you say things. You know, if you say it a certain way with a certain tone, people are going to be like, oh, okay, cool. You know, but if you change that a little, just the wording or just the tone that you say something, then people are all just like, they're going to take that as an offense, you know, like, oh my God, that's offensive. It's like in text message, you know, you start tagging somebody, all of a sudden you end up in a fight, and it all came down to the fact that they misinterpreted how you sent the text, you know, how they heard you say it, and you're like, I didn't say it like that. Stupid text.
I remember one time.
I've got a new policy I've been using for about the past 6 months. I never go with my first response to any text message. Just I read it and then I set the phone down for a minute and okay, I'm not going to say that, and then I pick it back up and go.
Rephrase.
I had a situation once going back to the gay thing. I was doing a joke, and the joke wasn't necessarily like a gay joke, but there was a lady in front, and she looked like a lesbian, right?
Right.
And it tied in with the joke. So all I said was, I don't remember how it goes because it was just a tag that I came up with in the moment when I saw her.
Right.
I said something like, yeah, man, that's normal because I like pussy. That's just the way it goes. I mean, it's good. It's what I like. And all I said was, I mean, you understand, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Like you understand? And then she looked at me and she yelled out. She was like, I'm not a lesbian. And I was like, well, me neither, but I like pussy. And I was like, it's good. You should try it. That's all I'm saying. So, and then hilarious. She started laughing. So, but then half of the room, I got quiet.
Right. Waiting for the reaction. Is this okay? Should we laugh?
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of sucked that she wasn't. She lesbian. She wasn't a lesbian, bro. Because she looked like that motherfucker, that bitch that killed Selena.
Oh my God.
She looked exactly like
Yolanda.
that. Yeah, that bitch. You know what I'm saying? She, and I was like, ma'am, you could pass as one of them. That's all I'm saying.
Yolanda was straight, by the way.
Are you sure? I don't think. No,
I really don't know. I'm
saying because initially when she killed Selena, there was rumors that it was because she loved her like that, and she told her, and Selena was like, hey, I like dick, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm pretty, that's not what she said.
That's exactly what happened.
No, but she basically told her,
she became obsessed with her. Yeah, she became obsessed with her.
I remember one of the rumors being that I think.
But you said rumor. Remember, you're saying rumor. So
I wasn't
qualifying it without knowing he's qualified.
I wasn't there. Unfortunately, one of them's dead. The other one's in prison.
Right.
I can't.
She's
confirm.
out of prison, sir.
No, she's not.
She got released a few years back.
No, she didn't.
Are you sure?
She got life. She's appealed. They
were going to release her. I thought that's what I had heard.
I remember there was her. Yeah, there was. Right? She was coming up for a parole hearing or something.
God damn! Where's Google?
We need Google.
But I actually checked not too long ago, like a couple months back.
Oh, okay.
And she's still
in prison.
Yeah,
good. I had heard she was coming. I was very angry. So
yeah, me too.
I remember.
I haven't heard about any riots in Corpus lately, so I don't.
That's true. Well, I figured she went into hiding. You know, how many
smart
people?
Move.
Yeah, because there's a lot of angry people just in Texas.
Yeah.
So.
I know plenty of men that would fuck her just to be assholes about it. Oh wait, you're saying she's not a lesbian?
Oh my god!
I told you I was gonna fuck with you. I told you. You signed up for this shit. Don't give me the.
We were talking before the break about kind of people being basically walking around almost consciously unconscious about their own, what's going on in their own head and not even considering their own reactions to stuff.
Right.
I think best policy is if you hear, just for jokes, for example, if you hear something and you laugh, it is okay to laugh. Now, if you want to think about why you laufed afterwards, by all means do so.
That's all on you.
Yeah. Might do some good for you.
Yeah, contemplate.
Yeah. I do realize it. I mean, there is, because I have a very fucked up sense of humor. And what I'm talking about is like when I hear other comedians, like I like very dark humor, like Louis C.K. Louis C.K. has one of the greatest rape bits ever.
Right.
And when you listen to it, like you step back, like he said, and I was like, holy shit, somebody was getting raped.
Right.
And I fucking laughed. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my rule is, I feel you can talk about anything.
Right.
As long as you make it really funny. So, like, for example, if you're going to talk about rape, motherfucker, I better piss my pants.
Right.
Because if not, because if you're not funny, then you do turn into the asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, this one, really?
Well, you ever, y'all familiar with Bret Easton Ellis, the writer? He's the guy who wrote American Psycho, Less Than Zero.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I've never made it all the way through American Psycho because just like, I thought Christian Bale did a better interpretation of the character. But I have read Less Than Zero, and as a former cocaine user, it's one of those that it makes your skin crawl at just the depravity that is present in the book. Oh, and it gets capped off by a 12-year-old getting being in a snuff film. So, I mean, the whole thing is just... But then, and you're having the visceral reaction. You're going, oh my God, this is fucking horrible. But then you step back and you go, this is a book. Somebody just wrote this down.
Yeah.
Like he didn't experience most of these things. It wasn't,
not real.
There was no snuff film there, with the CK bit nobody got raped in the theater.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm, and
it kind of scares me that there are people who want to like take the ideas out of the public discourse where it's like, if we can't talk about this, how do we get to any understanding about any of this if we can't have a discussion about it?
And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but I don't mind you telling me your point of view because that's the only way that we're going to get anywhere.
Right.
Your approach is what I don't like.
Right.
And I've told this to plenty of people. Right. The worst thing that you can do to me is approach me like this. Mm-hmm. Sir, you can't say, whoa. Don't tell me I can't say something because I'm a grown-ass man to begin with. Now, I mean, it's going to sound funny, but like in that Hangover movie, my reply is, but did you die?
Right.
Are you dead?
Right.
Motherfucker, then you'll be fine. You know what I mean? It's going to be perfectly fine. Now, again, when it comes to comedy, now, if we're off stage and you tell me something and you piss me off and you call me a name, like for example, you crippled bastard or whatever, it's not gonna, me personally, it's not gonna bother me. But if we're on the street and you call me that, and my reply is like, let's say that you're gay, and you're like, well, you fucking faggot, well then that kind of changes the perspective and usage of the word.
Right.
Because now I am directing a hateful term to a particular person. That I understand. And there I'm telling you, I'm being the asshole. Now he's being an asshole too.
Right.
For telling me what he told me.
Right.
But I mean, at that point, you got to decide who's going to be the bigger person and be like, hey man, you know what? Shouldn't called you that.
Right.
You know, and because it came of a place of like anger.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I'm telling you a fucking joke, just shut the fuck up. or get up and leave. It'd be better if you just get up and leave.
Well, I also think we're kind of moving the needle to the point where it's like, all right, I'm trying to think of, this is part of what I meant kind of about the whole like art is the asking questions thing. Like, for example, I don't make statements on stage because most of the time it's something that I have considered all the way through, or at least it should be something that I've considered all the way through.
Right.
So like, look, this is not my firm opinion, but this is something I have thought about.
Right.
And, I think when you start slowly picking away at the ability to use language, to use even concepts, to even throw something out there on the limb, you go, you know, you say something horrible about someone. It's like, look, I don't know for sure if you fuck your mother, but I'm just saying, like, you look like the type of motherfucker that might fuck your mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, if we're eliminating that broadness in our ability to communicate, eventually you get down to the point where it's, you know, like I've said, you know, things in conversation with people and had someone take me aside and go, hey man, you shouldn't be talking about that in the conversation. Well, it's true, right? Yeah, but you shouldn't bring it up. Like, well, no, we're not gonna like pretend eliminate reality so that somebody.
Now, if I'm talking to a kid,
right,
that does not formulate full ideas and understands what like a gay person is, what a black person is. I mean, I remember one of my nieces, she's 3, 4, I think. And, we went to the mall and, she had never seen a black person before, which is normal. I mean, she's 4.
Right.
And she saw the black person and she stared, which is still normal because it's new and shit.
Right.
And, but she turned around and she asked her mom, she was like, Mom, why is he dirty? And I was like, oh shit. And I looked at the guy. I mean, he didn't hear her.
Right.
But, and then her mom got mad at her.
Right.
And I was like, I mean, I didn't tell her because it's not my place, but I told my ex-wife at the time. I was like, cause my ex-wife felt the same way. She was like, I don't think she handled it correctly. Like, what do you think? And I was like, you're right. Like, first of all, has she ever explained like different races to her? Well, no. Well, I mean, if you've never explained to a child what that is, you don't have the right to get mad at them because it's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I don't know. So I would have reacted the same fucking way. You know what I mean? Exactly. With people. And again, it goes back to what the whole premise of the way this conversation started. These are a lot, not only the gay thing, not only the mental health thing, not only the shit that people like to shit on the most now. I like to call them chicks with dicks, but, transsexual people, like these conversations are not being had. Right. So, the only way that we're going to get to a better place is by talking about this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take my foot off the pedal. If I find it funny, I'm going to talk about it.
Right.
It's my fucking job.
Well, not just that, but
So if you're wearing a skirt and I can see your dick, I'm going to say something.
Well, also, look, we've almost seemed to.
She's like, I don't know him.
I didn't know that was going to happen. No. It's a joke, guys.
I'm still going to say something.
We discussed the buyer's remorse before we started recording. But yeah, if you're, I'm trying to think of.
I'm going to ask you a personal question after this.
Okay.
Right. just as a small example, if you're into, I don't know, Korean card games or something like that, like nobody has to be aware of what is, you know, whatever small community you're involved in, whether that's, you know, a very small community, like there's you and 5 other people in the nation, or whether you're talking about a percentage of the population. If somebody's not involved in your shit, they don't know about your shit.
Right.
Use it. If somebody brings some shit up, maybe think of it as an opportunity to have a discussion. Go, ooh, are you interested in that? I can tell you all about that.
Yeah.
But, and then you get people who aren't even, you know, involved in some shit, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's a lady with a penis or whatever it might be. And it's going, you know, why are you getting on me for this? Like, do you have a pamphlet? Did you get one? Cause I wasn't on the mailing list. Yeah. Nobody brought this one up with me.
Exactly. He brings up a great point.
Yeah.
Now, I have to go, unfortunately, because it's 2019, I have to go on a record, and after all the shit that I said, it sucks that I have to say this, but I'll say it again. I have no problem if you're gay, lesbian, black, white. If you're a man, you dress up as a woman. If you identify as a woman, I just hope that you're happy and that you're good. And I mean, keep your dick away from me, but I'm happy. And if you're good and I don't see you, like, I may not agree with you.
Right.
I may not see things the way you do.
Right.
But I do feel that that doesn't disqualify you as being able to being treated as a normal person. Because at the end of the day, that's another thing that as human beings, I think we forgot.
Yeah.
We forgot that at the end of the day, we're a fucking human being.
Right.
And I mean, whatever you are, as long as we can learn to like respect each other, then we good. I mean,
a lot of the discussion comes down is like, we're all people. Yes. And people are fallible and fucked up.
We're fucking weirdos, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm weird.
Why do
we're
you,
all weird.
Why do you think aliens don't want to come down here? Cause
we got problems.
Yeah. It's like, we don't want to fuck with these. They got people like me. I mean, if an alien ever comes towards me, the first thing I'm going to try is I'm going to try to see if I can fuck it.
Wow.
And see how that turns out.
Wow.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome, motherfucker. This is how we say hi.
Oh my God. You're probing the aliens instead of the other way around.
So,
this is for all those cow mutilations.
So, here comes the deep water. You ready?
Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
I'm kidding.
No, it's
so speaking.
Our kiddie pool is already pretty murky.
Don't ever say kitty like that again.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
Freddy, do we need to discuss some stuff?
Anyway, have you ever faced the backlash like that? Because I'm pretty sure you've come out to everybody at this point that you like women and all of that.
Right.
And I don't know you.
Right.
But first of all, I don't care.
Right.
And
I don't care about you either.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Unity.
What I'm saying is, think in this time, because we just met.
Right.
And in this conversation of 2 hours that we've had, like, I like you as a person. You know what I mean? Because that's what I focus on.
Right.
I'm glad that I'm 32 years old. Fuck, I had to think about that. I'm 32 years old, and I've learned to. I've never forgotten that at the end of the day, everybody's a fucking person.
Right.
So from what I've gotten to know about you, I don't give a shit if you like women or not, or whatever it is that you like. But like when you come out to people or whatnot, did you face people looking at you weird? Did people stop talking to you? Did you lose shit?
So, yeah.
And the last thing I want to add, like explain all that. Right. But after you explain all that, did you lose, like monetary job opportunities?
So I don't think I've ever lost job opportunities. And I think because I don't really speak about my sexuality, unless it's like a coworker that I know, and then I'll open up or whatever. But that was before. I mean, now I haven't. I worked at the food bank, and now I'm doing something else, and they're all equal opportunity providers and stuff like that.
Well, they tell you that, but they don't always mean
that's
that
true.
shit.
They don't. But I was blessed to have that atmosphere there. Where they got to know. I do this thing where you get to know me first, and then I throw it on you. Okay.
Jesus, hold on. You need to put that into context because people are going to be like, hey.
Not in a sexual way.
Okay, all right, cool.
Like Freddy with the aliens?
No, not like the aliens. No, well, I just kind of, I get comfortable because I'm kind of sketchy about people. I'm really nice and stuff, but I only let you get so close to me, just like stay right there. And I only say so much, like, oh, okay, that's great. Have a great day.
So you stiff arm motherfuckers.
Don't come any closer. But then once I get real comfortable, then I start kind of opening up and stuff. But I honestly, when I first came out completely, I was about.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean completely?
Well, because there was stage.
Kind of?
It's kind of like in middle school, I told friends. And then maybe a few family members as the years kept going. And then when I got into high school.
What did you tell them?
I
like women?
I like girls.
That's all you said?
Yeah. Like I wanted to tell you guys that, like I like this, like I like girls, and so some of them were just like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And other was like, oh, okay. They kind of asked questions like, well, how'd you know? And just girls. I'm like, well, I don't know. Like I was like 12, 13 at the time.
And you, to clarify this, you only like girls, right?
I only like girls. I have dated men before. I went through a long period where I wasn't sure. I was just like, I don't know, but I realized, guys are cool and stuff, but I don't actually like to date them. So or be with them. So I do love women. So that's what I've realized. So I am a lesbian. But yeah, I think it was like in when I was like 14, 15, it was my freshman year going into my sophomore year, the summer. And I had told my friends, that I had been with like since elementary and middle school. And I remember we were at the mall and one of the girls acted really weird after I had already told them. And the whole backstory, she just got, there's a storm.
I saw the lights flash and I was like, oh shit, tell me that's not the equipment.
I know, oh my God. Actually, she,
real quick, did you connect it to a surge protector?
No,
it's not connected.
It's cool. We got 12 minutes left.
Cool.
Okay. So, she had just gotten her confirmation done, right? So it was weird because she was kind of like hitting on me before that.
Did she buy something?
What do you mean? Did she buy something?
I know what you mean.
Confusing me. No, but it was weird because before that, she was one of the first people I told, and she kind of like made gestures, like she wanted something or whatever. But that was like my friend, and I was trying to open up to her, and I didn't respond to her gestures, what she was trying to get out of it. So then like time passed and we all met together at the mall and she had gotten her confirmation done. And I remember they were all playing around and I was checking out some girl. She was passing by. She was very beautiful. And my friend was just like, I see you, girl. And I was like, shut up. I know she was hot. So and they're like patting each other like, ooh, whatever. Like touching the leg just to play around and like, oh, I'm touching you, whatever. And she overreacted and was like, don't touch me like that. I'm not like that and I'm offended and whatever. And I was like, where's this coming from? Coming from you? And there was a whole blow up. Our friends separated. Like we were like yelling at each other in the food court. It was pretty bad. After that, I started my sophomore year and I had no friends. So everybody just completely stopped talking to me and I had to like start over. And that was so traumatizing because that was a point where I was having a lot of mental issue problems and I got hospitalized and all that. And so that followed with that too. It was something. It was crazy. But I went through a lot,
Did you ever get anybody that thought that it was contagious?
No.
Like for example, I'm asking
I haven't. I know I've heard it.
Because like for example with me.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid growing up with this shit.
Right.
Like when you would have the recess, and I'm really meaning like as a kid, and as a kid you don't give a fuck. Like, well, at least me, like I just wanted to play, I wanted to have a good time, I wanted to have friends, and nobody would come around me, right?
Right.
So there was this one kid, I'll never forget, his name was Michael, right? I hope Michael's fucking dead now, but.
Oh my God.
No, but, I remember he was playing with this toy truck outside, right? It was one of those big ass Tonka trucks.
Right.
And he was playing with the dirt and shit. We must have been like 6, you know what I'm saying? Maybe 7 years old.
Right.
And I was like, hey man, like, can I play with you? And he was like, oh no, get away. And I was like, you know, what's wrong? Why can't we play? And he was like, because I don't want to, you know, he literally said, I'm gonna start walking like you if you touch my toys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I fuck you up, you'll start walking like me. That's the only way you'll start walking like me.
Yeah, I mean, I think people understand that it's not contagious, but there are still some people that feel like, you know, if you show it or bring it around their kids or anybody, that they're going to be like that. And that's not the case, because obviously a bunch of gay people are coming out of straight people. So that's not obviously the reason for it. So
do you ever reconnect with any of them, like later on? Just kind of have that.
That same girl honestly had like requested me on Facebook some years back, and I approved it at first, you know, just to kind of see what was up, and then I couldn't, you know, I didn't feel good about it. I just felt like, you know, you couldn't accept me then, and you still now you want to kind of come around now, and it's like, no, I'm good, you know. Okay. I've grown from that, so I'm good.
I had a bit of an aha moment, probably about 5 or 6 years back, where
you were gay?
Huh? No,
not that.
How am I just like okay?
How come you never hit on me?
See, not even gay people want me. What kind of shit?
Actually, part of the aha moment was like I've talked to I've listened to a lot of people kind of.
It wasn't like aha.
No.
Oh, okay. Just make sure.
Never mind. No, what it was is I played football with this guy in high school who was pretty much the head of the Fellowship for Christian Athletes.
Okay.
And I was a huge fucking stoner in high school, and part of it goes back to teenagers are dealing with shit, and like I was self-medicating was what it was, and still recommend it if you know. You know, it ain't for everybody. All right.
Right.
Don't go out there and start trying. You know, what is it? Not lithium or whatever the.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Don't be you know sampling your friend Zoloft or anything. But maybe take a couple hits off the joint, see if that works for you. Try the CBD at first, maybe. But and he was very kind of not like openly hostile or anything, but there was always that judgment of like, oh, these druggies.
Yeah.
And then way after high school, I ran into him at a social event, and he goes, and he starts like kind of pouring out to me and going like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like I was always so critical of y'all. And basically what he was telling me was he had just become this massive fucking pothead after high school. And he kind of dropped the whole like religious fundamentalist thing and all this. And it was very important to him. And it was like, this is just part of my life.
Right.
And like, it was kind of connecting that, which is a trivial fucking thing. I mean, don't be wrong, for him, it seemed to be very important, but connecting that to like, I've almost seen the opposite situation where it was, you know, the kid in school was like, oh, that dude's gay. And then like, you know, 15 years down the line, he's the one with a stable marriage.
Yeah.
No, it turned out to be straight as fuck. It was just an effeminate kid. That's all it was.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
But yeah, kind of having that reconnection later on and going, you know, having someone come up to you and go like, I was wrong. I actually thought about it.
I have an uncle.
Yeah.
I have an uncle that he's very like really fucking, you look at him and he looks like a fucking fruitcake, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up.
Right.
This motherfucker has 7 kids, so there's no problem there.
No, he seems to be good.
Yeah, so
well, I was listening to I think it was a TED Talk, I could be wrong. But this woman was going over some of the newer like social surveys and all this stuff and these long-term, you know, studies, I guess.
Yeah.
You call it studies if you're just asking people questions. I mean, you don't know how they're answering, but like more and more, like there was, I remember back in the late 90s, there was that thing. It was like, oh, well, women are more, there's more plasticity to female sexuality. It's like you might have the this year I'm straight, this year I'm gay, this year I'm bi. And it's like, okay. And then men, you tie it into fetishism at a young age and some of that stuff. And then now they're kind of coming to the conclusion, it's like, you just change as you live your life. Shit happens.
Like I think they said like every 5 to 10 years, you go through a major change in your life. Yeah. You know, and there's a big adjustment where things just shift. You know, you may not like the same things that you liked in those past 5 years or whatever. You know, it's just there's like just a complete shift in your life.
So you know what my complete shift has been over the past 5 years?
Single and broke.
Fuck you, but no, that wasn't the point. I hated sushi. Now, I fucking love fucking sushi. Komori's is the fucking shit, yo. It's expensive as fuck. I wish I could go back to not liking it. You know what I'm saying? Because now I eat that shit like 3 times a week.
Oh my god.
But yeah. So I get the whole like major change type of thing. Because I had tried it before.
Right.
Like I tried, and I didn't like it. I was like, how do people fucking hate this shit? But
this is almost unrelated, but I came across an article the other day that it made me giggle and just smile, and like, not in like aha type of way, but there was a woman who was a hardcore vegan, you know, pushing the whole thing. She was active in the community and all this. And then after about 15 years, she tried meat, and now she's a professional butcher.
Wow.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that shit.
That's crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
Man.
Yeah. It's like, so if we have any message for this, which we shouldn't, but don't pay attention to us too much. But, yeah, go
if
try some
anybody
shit.
is getting their expert advice on any fucking subject here, I'm so sorry for you. You got them fucked up somewhere in your life. Pick up a book. We coming up on that second hour. So this is the part of the episode where if you have anything to promote, anything to push out, as far it could be anything from your social media, shows. I know you don't do shows. If you have anything coming up, if you want anybody to follow you.
Our audience doesn't have a habit of harassing our guests, but like if they want to ask you a question,
y'all can totally harass me if you want to.
Don't say it like that because
oh, not like that. I know you guys are kind of perverted.
You have listened to our episodes.
I have, yeah. No, I
guarantee you, there's somebody with their pants off right now.
Put them back on. If you're a man, put your pants back on.
No, if you're a woman.
No, still put your pants back on. I have a honey. She'll get mad. No. I actually have a page. I have Queen T Artistry on Facebook is what I have. And so I just kind of do updates on that. I am in a band, so we're starting a band. It's going to be starting here after December. So we're working on a name. We're barely going to do our first band practice this next weekend. So once that starts kicking off, then I'll start promoting.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It is. I don't do drugs.
I'm just saying for the name of the band.
No. That is not. No. It's going to be a good name, but it's not going to be that.
Hey, it worked for Richard and it worked for Rick James. So
I'm just picturing that old Mad TV bit about the gangster rap barbershop, you know.
Oh my God.
Is that fucking water?
Yeah, it's raining.
It's raining, man. It started raining. It's pouring. I hear it.
The cold front has come.
Yo, that noise canceling shit on these headphones is real, yo. Holy fuck. How was it? You know what I thought? Going back to that mental health. I was like, is it raining or is it in my head? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
I was like, I really got serious issues, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he needs to talk, somebody.
Yeah.
Please be cheap. Please be cheap.
I hold a little mourning ceremony like literally like mourning, like, you know, oh shit. Every time I get the tinnitus and like I get that.
Oh my God.
And then it just goes silent. Like, fuck, I lost another one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, too many years with loud headphones and hard music.
That'll do it.
Okay, so you got the band coming up. You got the page.
Yes.
Anything else at all?
So no shows yet or anything?
No shows yet.
I was going to ask you real quick, and we should have fucking talked about it, but I was just going to throw it out there. If you ever want to record your songs and shit, I know I know somebody that'll track you and record you. And believe me, they do more than press mix.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. So,
nice.
yeah,
that'd be great.
This dude got his shit down. So.
Awesome.
We're here networking and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always looking to like work with collab with other people. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, doing it on my own is I mean, it's cool and all, but it's always good to have other artists, to collab with.
So I was gonna tell you, since you said that you've never experienced a live comedy show,
right.
I'd like to pop your cherry because it's closes up and we're gonna get your comedy cherry. Your comedy cherry is what the fuck I'm trying to say. So I was gonna say, if I could invite you to a show, I would like to invite you to my next show.
That'd be awesome.
You can come. I'll let you in for free.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Or
bring me food. I love food.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Either one is good. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
No, but real shit. Not the food part.
Yeah.
But if you can, just bring a toy. Cause it's a benefit.
Yeah.
It's a benefit. Not that one.
Blue Sunday?
Oh, I can't say the name of the charity yet because we haven't locked it down.
Okay.
I think we're gonna meet with them tomorrow.
Okay.
The people organize. I'm helping coordinate the event, and I'm also performing.
Awesome.
And I'm also sweeping and mopping. They found I was Mexican.
Everything. Jack of all trades.
No, but I'm coordinating the event, and I'm helping the owners of the establishment put it together.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like to come to the show.
Yes, I would love that. That would be awesome. How cool.
Now, I'm going to hit you with the famous Dave Chappelle bit. I just want to let you know beforehand that if I'm not funny, just know that I'm like Evel Knievel. I get paid for the attempt.
Just for the attempt.
Yeah, I get paid for the attempt, motherfucker. I'm not saying these jokes are going to land, but I will try. But yeah, come out. We'll have a good time and everything.
Awesome. Sounds good.
I'll give you the details as far as what I know.
All right.
Off camera, because I don't want to say anything on camera because nothing is set in stone.
Right.
When I do get shit going, y'all will know too.
Awesome.
It's coming soon. So.
Well, as for what is set in stone, man, go ahead and give out your contacts, man.
Yeah, you can find me all across social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Freddy G. If you want to find me in person, you can find me at the disability office. I'm kidding. Don't come look for me in person. That's weird. But yeah, you can find me there.
Okay, you can get in touch with me at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com as well as Hatfield Stand Up on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to get the audio version of any of these podcast episodes, you can go to shoutengine.com/bouncing brains. You can also look for us on the Google Music Play app, I believe, and Stitcher. You can also listen at rgvtitanradio.com Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. New episodes every Friday. You can find us on YouTube under Bouncing Brains. If you enjoy it, please hit subscribe. We're trying to hit that 100 mark so we can get that custom URL. I am tired of looking at that hexadecimal code every time we type in the goddamn webpage.
For real, y'all. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Luckily, I do want to boast a little bit. Luckily, when you go to the search bar on YouTube now and you put Bouncing Brains Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We are the first result.
Nice.
Used to be some dude making techno in Europe.
Yeah,
fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that we couldn't have done that without y'all. Thank y'all for whatever support, whoever gave it to us. Thank you. Continue doing it. So yeah, type Bouncing Brains in the search bar if you can't find it until we get that custom URL.
And if you'd like to reach out to us, questions for the guests, or if you'd like to propose coming on, by all means, we are open to anybody doing any creative activities. We will not travel unless you are paying for our food. Either be interesting or just know how to sit there and nod quietly while we yammer to each other. But either way, Bouncing Brains Podcast at gmail.com, Bouncing Brains Podcast on Facebook, Bouncing Brains on Twitter and Instagram. And folks, it has been beautiful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, keep it tight.